mental health means a lot of things to a lot of people, and it's such a buzzword right now that, sort of takes on so many different applications. People think it's new. There has always been a mental side of sport, especially high-level sport, because of the amount of pressure that there is to perform, the amount of expectation, and the very public nature of high-level sport. I don't know that many of us truly understand what Naomi Osaka's situation is with regard to her struggles with mental health or her struggles as an athlete and with the mental side of sport. And I think, as I'll quote her as saying, her quote was, "I'm still trying to figure it out in terms of what this is." So I think that we all probably have to take a bit of a step back from and saying, hey, we know exactly what's going on here, and this is our perspective on it, because it's much more complex. I think the Simone Biles situation is one that is a good example of that. During Tokyo, when she first mentioned that she was struggling with mental health, those were her words. We all applied the Naomi Osaka situation, sort of model to that. And then 3 days later, it came out that this new phenomenon that actually isn't new and it's been around in gymnastics for a while, but none of us outside of gymnastics have really heard about this idea of the twisties. Now it takes on a completely different perspective. Very good example of the mental side of sport. For me, I was in my early 20s in 1992. So I was the world champion, top of the sport, 2 years undefeated, and a heavy favorite to win that Olympics and the 200 meters. And and I got food poisoning right before the games. I didn't think that the food poisoning illness had affected me to a point where I wasn't going to be able to compete as I normally do. I didn't realize that until the first round of the 200 meters, when the gun goes off and I start running, and I don't feel like myself. I feel like I'm running in someone else's body. I did not make the final. I advanced to the quarterfinals, didn't make the final, and Olympic dream over. And it was suggested that I should see the sports psychologist, because everyone knew that this is huge, and this is where athletes can actually spiral into sort of what we call into a slump that's difficult to get yourself out of. You start doubting yourself. And I remember going to see the sports psychologist, and I realized almost immediately, this is not where I need to be right now. This is not going to be good for me. And for someone else, it probably would have been. I'm very much a realist, and I remember just leaving that session, going back to my hotel room, and I remember my dad met me over at my hotel, and the conversation I had with my dad was much more effective in me just being able to tell him how I felt, what my fears were, what my concerns were, and him just listening and saying, I understand. I mean, Atlanta was certainly the most pressure I've ever felt as an athlete to deliver. But understanding yourself and being very honest with yourself about your strengths, your weaknesses, your likes, your dislikes, what motivates you, what inspires you is critical. I knew that I perform best and I deliver my best performances, and I'm happiest when I'm under that kind of pressure. So when I had my stroke, I couldn't walk, couldn't stand, and I had to truly relearn how to walk. My brain, the connection that told my leg, ankle, knee, that connection was severed. You're having to look at yourself in the mirror. And I'm having to see myself in the mirror as a fraction of what I used to be. I was motivated to get back out and be the same person I was before the stroke. To be hiking and biking and paddleboarding and have my quality of life and not have to depend on and be a burden on other people. Laureus supported projects all around the world, and it's never been a surprise to me the power that sport has to change the lives of young people. And when you think about some of the really difficult circumstances that many of these young people are having to live through. And it's why I started my own Foundation, Michael Johnson Young Leaders, and I'm always in awe of the mental fortitude of these young people.